An absolutely horrific Maoist attack, leaving 10 jawans dead and one civilian driver was killed as well. The most obvious question, what went wrong? Let's try and understand that and find the answers to multiple questions that have arisen following this dastardly attack. Let's go across to our panel of experts to decode what may have happened in Chhattisgarh on Wednesday. I'm joined by Ram Nivas, former DGP of Chhattisgarh, Vikram Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh. We're also hoping to be joined in a moment by Dilip Trivedi, former Director General of the CRPF. Ram Nivas ji, let me start with you, sir. As former DGP of Chhattisgarh, you understand the Naxal-infested regions of this state better than most others. Reports suggest, sir, that central intelligence agencies had warned the CRPF and the local police that Naxals were planning an attack. This input had come 15 days before yesterday's attack. And the intelligence input said that Maoists were planning to carry out an IED blast on security forces in Dantewada, Sukma and Bijapur. What do you think went wrong, sir? While I know that investigations are underway and it is too early to jump to any conclusions, would it be safe to say that there has been a major intelligence failure and a security lapse? How do you see this?
Basically, there is a different terrain in Chhattisgarh. Every district is having the different problems. It is a general intelligence that the Naxalites, they can have attack in Bijapur, Dantewada, Sukma and said joining district. So it's a vast area. The total area of the Bastar district, the 7 district is more than the Kerala. So definitely there is some lapse on the SOP because after 2 days operation, when the jawans they were returning, so when the casualty have taken place, definitely there is a lapse. But we cannot say that it was a intelligence report was given. It was not an exact intelligence. It was a general intelligence. The next slide, they carry all these attacks during the April, May and up to mid-June. It is the season for the Tendu Patta and for the forest minor produce. They try to extract money from the basically contractors. So this is their tactics that during these days, the Naxalites, they made their attack. So the DRG, it's a basically local police force, and we cannot say that there was an intelligence failure or there was a, but definitely we can say the SOP should have been followed properly.
All right, it's interesting you are making a distinction. You're saying let's not jump to the conclusion that this was an intelligence failure. But yes, we can perhaps call it a security lapse because it looks like the standard operating procedures may not have been followed. Let me bring in Vikram Singh, another very experienced former cop, into the conversation. Vikram Singh, security officials have said that the route that was taken by the DRG jawans had been sanitized the previous night. That was when they were moving in for that anti-Naxal encounter. However, the Maoists may have learned of their return route and planted the IED. So a very critical question arises. Was the return route cleared for the movement of these troops or not? Was standard operating procedure followed or not in this case? What is your assessment?
Neha ji, thank you for calling me over for your interview. I would suggest that it is not appropriate to sit in judgment, but there are important lessons to be drawn, and this is exactly what we are discussing. Obviously, the Naxals knew that the return route is the same, which was the entry route, and this is the major flaw that anyone possibly can commit, is to have the same route on predictable lines. You have to be absolutely unpredictable. The left hand does not know what the right hand is doing. I really don't know if the sanitization of the road opening parties was there the night before. Was the lucid interval so much or so less that it could have disclosed the movement of the force to the Naxals? Obviously, it has to be very in close proximity. Anything happening the night before can disclose to the Naxals that there is some likely movement into the foreseeable future. And therefore, there is adequate time for them to plant the IEDs. Although, as Mr. Ramnivasji has also mentioned, that the Naxals actually bombard the road during the construction itself with landmines. The only thing left for them is to do, because there are not very many roads. And these roads, if they're dotted with landmines, they are aware, the security forces are not, because mine detecting equipment is just not foolproof and fail-proof. Similarly, mine-proof vehicles are not fail-proof and foolproof. Therefore, they walked into a trap, and the rest was a human tragedy which was best avoided. Important lessons to be drawn. Intelligence report was there, but as Mr. Ramnivasji said, it was of a very general nature, not a specific nature, like something akin to weather prediction. It doesn't mean a thing. गरज के साथ छींटे पड़ेंगे या मौसम साफ रहेगा. You'd say both. No, it doesn't. Unless it is specific, any intelligence report is not worth the paper on which it is written. Number two, if you took the same route, well, I would say that it was a flaw. And yes, important lessons to be drawn. Why did they have to take the same route? They were out for a long time, but it is best that you change your routes, you can conceal and camouflage your movements. And yes, what more could have been done? It is also customary that you use either go on foot in very vulnerable areas, you go on cycles in the most sensitive areas. In your opening remarks, Neha, you mentioned that a distance has to be maintained so that the other vehicles are not targeted if there is a blast. So these are the things that we need to take into account. And of course, this is something that has happened after 2 years, Nehaji, and indeed a very heavy price for Chhattisgarh and the nation.